In the early 1900s, at a time when Jim Crow laws barred African Americans from joining white Greek letter societies, we came together and formed our own. That spirit of unity gave rise to 8 distinguished sororities and fraternities who still uplift their voices for scholarship, service, and social justice. From their legions rise the voices of artists, activists, pioneers, and poets. The voice of fraternity brother, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Freedom and justice, I have a dream.
The voice of the Reverend Jesse Jackson.
Our nation is rainbow. Red, yellow, brown,
and the voices of sorority sisters fighting against AIDS, hunger, and illiteracy. Not just their voices, but our voices too, as we stand and give praise to sorority sister Leontine Price, and cheer fraternity brother Michael Jordan, or sing the inspiring lyric of brother James Weldon Johnson in Lift Every Voice and Sing.
Jimmy, I have to give the tribute first. We gotta watch the tribute.
Okay.
Great organizations for great people.
Do you mind?
No, not at all.
Guys, you are live with no other than Stepmaster J. How are you, Stepmaster J?
I'm good.
How are you?
I'm good, Jessica. How you doing?
I'm pretty good. We had just gotten off right now with your partner in crime right now.
With Vernon?
Yes, you know what? I can't even type. I'll wait till our conversation's over. But I really I'm so excited to be here with you and celebrating everything that you've done. So for those who are watching right now, we are at 2020 World of Step Convention, and we are live with our episode, Stepping Through Time. And we have no other than Stepmaster J, Jimmy Hamilton, who was part of Step by Step, one of the pioneers in really bringing stepping to the forefront and mainstream back in the 90s. How do you feel? How excited are you?
I feel good. I feel fatigued a little bit, but I feel good.
Well, we're here celebrating you, and we're excited. I hope you can see me. I'm getting a little bit of a bad connection, but are you clear with me? Are you clear?
Hang on, I can't hear you.
Okay. Well, I hope everybody can hear us. Where Jimmy's just making sure his sound, he has a good sound check right now. But we are so excited. We are here live with Jimmy, Stepmaster J. Step by Step was one of the first companies that really set stepping on the map mainstream. And a lot of the things that you're going to be learning today, that when we started out with the video, is for you to have an understanding of how this movement got started. Because in order to really progress, and if you want to be part of the world of step, you got to educate yourself and know the history and know the pioneers and the groundbreakers, and because there's so many, and we want to make sure we tell their story. Jimmy, can you hear us now?
Yes.
So Jimmy, tell us, let everybody, so we started the video with some of the work that you and Vernon did, and we wanted to make sure that they understood that, and we thank you. So can you let people know a little bit about who you are and what you guys started?
Well, Jessica, I'm just average like everybody else, no different. And when I came up with the idea to introduce the art to mainstream, Vernon and I were in a dorm room having a beer, and we were kind of thinking about leaving college to do this. And all these ideas came, all these visions came. It was driven by exposing it and preserving it so that it wouldn't get exploited by an entertainer. That was the passion. And then we knew, you know, people would see it, and people that didn't pledge would start stepping. That was a big controversy. If you weren't a member of a fraternity, then you just didn't do it. But until we said it's okay to do it, you know, it was a big risk. But it worked. Now we have youth step teams. We have people's lives saved, you know, all these years later. That was in 1989.
Well, think about it. I think just so that people understand it, you wanted to jump into this and create this not because you wanted to take away from it, but you wanted to preserve it, and
Right,
have the platform. So when it did come, there was people that can guide them and educate them versus somebody stealing it, make it their own, and they don't understand the history. Because as long as you guys were pushing it out there, you can continue to educate the masses. Is that was what,
right.
right?
Yeah, that was part of the objective. Yes, and luckily in Hollywood, because we're Vernon's from Watts and I'm from Inglewood. We started step by step as a company, and it just started out Venice Beach. We put our hat out there to raise money for uniforms. You
Oh, I
know,
know Venice Beach. They're doing the same shit now 20 years later, so I got you.
yeah. So we were out there, man, and then we did a lot in that first year. I would say when we left college, and I still to this day I don't have a degree.
Yeah.
You know, that was part of the sacrifice. I sacrificed a degree and getting married and having a family
Oh,
and
so you
kids.
left. You literally left college to pursue this.
Yeah,
Oh,
after 5 years. Um, and so anyway, it was very important that first year because within 6 months, not only did we do a national commercial for Coke, stepping, we also were discovered by Debbie Allen,
and
who's
who is
famous
Debbie Allen
for.
for those who may not know the
Yeah,
legend of
okay, now,
Debbie Allen?
now Debbie Allen is Felicia Rashad's sister who was on the Cosby Show. What was her character on the Cosby Show?
She did that famous TV show. She was in charge of that famous. Was it Flash? What was that famous show I loved?
Well, she did that too, but she was well, anyway, Debbie was known for doing Fame, and she
Yes.
also, yes, and she directed A Different World.
Yes.
And she's doing a lot of directing now still. Um, but she was directing a music video for Angela Winbush, Ronald Isley's wife at the time,
Mhm.
and she needed two street dancers. At that time, it wasn't called hip hop. So Vernon and I got word about the audition at her house. From there, she took us under her wing, her and her husband Norman Nixon, who had a management company, and just managed our careers as choreographers and dancers. The idea was for us to one day get a record deal, which we did.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, so I got a lot of basic training from Debbie, how to do basic ballet, basic jazz. I learned about how to pursue Broadway with step. So a lot was taught by Debbie in that regard as a mentor indirectly. But that first year was important with those two jobs.
Yeah.
And then we also did we did a demo that year, and we also did the Image Awards after party. We hadn't done the award show yet, but we did the after party,
Mm-hmm.
which is when Hammer saw us.
Too legit to quit.
Yeah,
If that was here, Ed would have done that. All of this.
yeah. So Hammer did a lot of hopping. At that time we called it party training. Now today it's called strolling.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it went from party train to strolling that everybody knows today.
Now, how do you feel? Like, let's think about it. There's a lot of things you've done. Commercials. You did the Coke, the commercial that Vernon was talking about. You guys you left school, Jimmy, and you decided to follow your passion. You see the stomp. You see everything coming out there, and now looking at it so many years. I'm not going to talk about where you're at now because this interview hasn't ended. That's later. I want to talk
Hmm.
about right now. How do you feel the impact that you have had in someone like, like Ed? Ed had Vernon crying. That was great TV, by the way, Ed and Vernon. But
Mm.
he was upset, but he was crying. But I think, for me, you can tell me if I'm wrong. I think Vernon was crying more because finally we are giving you guys the respect that must some of these younger generation do not understand. And the reason why we wanted to have this conversation live on IG is because we really wanted to commend you and Vernon on really sacrificing yourselves for the art form, because you were living in your truth. And how does it feel knowing that because of
Wow.
that sacrifice, there's so many youth in this world, because there's sacrifices that people will not. I do this for a living, stepping. I know the sacrifices I have gone through. You have your own, so we have sacrifices that people will never know. How do you feel that through those sacrifices, whether you realize it or not, you're impacting, or you impacted such a huge generation?
Wow. Uh, I had my moments when I came to tears after being on hiatus since 1999. I came to Texas, and my run in the entertainment industry was from 89 to 99. And when I came to Texas, I kind of lost touch of Hollywood, TV, stepping, in other words. I didn't know what was going on from that year all the way up until Vernon reconnected with me in 2012,
Oh, wow.
2013. So I went on YouTube and I saw how stepping had evolved. I had no idea about youth step teams. I hadn't even watched Stomp the Yard. So I'm on YouTube to help Vernon, kind of get involved with the youth at the Boys and Girls Club and rebrands, step by step. And I went on YouTube and I saw the Res Fest at Howard University Res Fest.
Mm-hmm.
When I saw that competition and I started seeing the other youth teams, I went from that Friday night all the way through till Sunday watching how stepping had evolved. I could not believe them Raider boys, the young men of vision, Keith Swanson and what he's done here in Dallas with the youth, Stomp Wars. I was just blown away to where I did come to tears.
Wow.
Literally, that whole weekend was me getting my reward from those efforts in the 90s. It was amazing.
Well, you should realize that the impact that you played, and stepping is just, and now, right now where we're at, we're World of Step. Stepping is now international, and well, it's always been international. We're just catching up to the world and saying we're bringing the world together, and that's what we want to do, is to give the world together. But we wanted to make sure that while we're bringing the world together, they understood the different people that have sacrificed around the world for the art form, and really bringing you and Vernon to light for what you've done in the United States and the impact. And you don't know if your impact went around the world. We'll never know that until one day you meet a kid from Peru who will go up to you and say you've impacted them, and that day you're gonna cry even more. Forget about it. You're gonna fall in tears. But I really wanted you guys to have that platform to talk about it. Now, we talked about, you realize how much has grown. Let's talk about what you are doing now, and what's the next project that you're planning, because you and Vernon took a break. It's like having you guys weren't divorced, you were separated. He didn't want to divorce you. Vernon is like, I'm not leaving you. So you guys got separated, right? And then now you back together. You realize your marriage works. What are you guys planning now? What is the new project that's still involved with stepping?
Well, right now, I end up going back to school to study the theater recently. And so I'm pursuing, the whole musical playwright. I don't write plays, I write musicals. Mm-hmm. And I've actually started a theater company, a step stroll theater company called Gumbo Step Stroll Theater Company. Mm-hmm. We have a 12-member cast. And, so I'm working on that. I'm working on launching them.
Real quick, where if they wanted to find out about the Gun Boots, the theater company, where would they go to?
Oh, just go to Gumbo Step Theater Company, CO, on Instagram, Facebook, gumbostepstrolltheater.com or gumbosteptheater.com, and go to the website and you'll find a way to link up to all the social medias there as well. If you go to Stepmaster J, you'll see a link there on Stepmaster J on Facebook, Instagram, all that. But yeah, we're working hard on launching some big stuff from Gumbo with Joe, and we're excited about it. We're also the first project is telling our story called Stomp the Ignorance, which is one of the themes for Stomp in the 90s. It was the theme actually from 1995 when we did our music video for the opening.
So
So I'm working on.
for those that are watching right now, can you just bring them up to speed? We're right now live with Jimmy from Step by Step. Can you bring them up to speed of what Stomp was in the 90s?
Stomp was it every year. Everybody had a VHS. Stomp was the competition that came on real late at night. You know, it came on after the Apollo. It was the first and only national televised step competition with the Divine Nine. At that time, it was the Great Eight. The Iotas hadn't been chartered amongst the Divine Nine then, or the Great Eight, but it was the competition. It was hosted by Tisha Campbell, Alfonso Ribeiro, LL Cool J host the year. We did our video.
And what did you guys, what was your role in that show?
Now, our role in that was we produced all the teams that competed without social media. No, go online and find the best team. No.
How did you find
We had to find the best. Yeah, we found them word of mouth. We started with each organization's national, winners from their national competitions. Yeah. So every convention every year had a step show, and we started there.
Wait a minute.
Sometimes
that means you back when you started, you were using payphones.
Yeah, we always had to have some money for a payphone. Now
you were doing dial-up too.
We were doing payphones, no doubt. And in fact, when we were doing the commercial, when we finished the Coke commercial, it was September 20, whatever it was. I'll never forget the person that told us about the commercial, this AKA freelance agent. She was calling us about the audition at Debbie Allen's house the very next day. So the pages were just blowing up. I was like, what the heck? So, Vernon, you got a quarter for the payphone? You always had to have some change for the payphone. Yeah. And so we definitely had our payphones. But Stomp was the competition that everyone recorded in the 90s, so that most folks had VHSs. They played it over and over and over and over. Some of the choreography I like in Stomp the Yard reminded me of some of the teams that competed. I liked when the Sigmas came up with a whole new style of step for their organization or their kind of genre with the whole African thing. That was just mind-blowing. It was mind-blowing every year. We never knew what the teams were going to – we never could see their rehearsals for their competition routines. But all the stuff you saw with all the teams at the opening number and on the closing number, that was all choreography by us.
Well, for those who are watching right now, we are live with Jimmy, Step Master J. He is part of Step by Step, and they were one of the innovators, one of the pioneers that helped bring stepping into Hollywood here in the United States. And we're having a candid conversation with them just so that you understand like the impact they've had, their story, but most importantly, we want to recognize them and continuously recognize their place in this world of step. Sorry, Jimmy, I just wanted to continue to reiterate that for those who are jumping in.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So Stomp, the TV show I was talking about, was the only national, well, let's say the only dance show at the time that was like national that they brought, stepping in. And it was late at night, but it was impactful because a lot of the youth talks about it, the generation of Ed, because Ed is older than me, talked about the impact of how it was. Now, you went through Stomp, you went through that experience with Debbie Allen, you learned from her, you grew, then you and Vernon had a separation, came back together, you're married again, you didn't kick your marriage out. Now Vernon's doing his project, you're doing your project. Will there ever be a step-by-step project together? Is this something you guys are doing together that's going to bring back the mojo, or where are we at right now?
Oh, well, here's where we're at right now. Vernon and I are still Step Masters, Step by Step. And so we've merged. The Gumbo Step Stroll Theater Company is part of the performing arts of One Global Step. So we're still linked under Step Masters, but it's under the umbrella that we do One Global Step. We do the performing arts side, which is the Gumbo Step Stroll Theater Company. And, both organizations are nonprofit. So this is our way of establishing careers for those that are interested in careers in step or the performing arts, and those who are in need, as far as our youth, to be mentored and guided to their purpose or maybe higher education until they discover their own purpose. So
So it's
we're
really
still step by master,
connect-
step by step. Yeah, no doubt about it. Like, for example, Vernon's doing a lot of the Los Angeles, jobs that come up where they need a step company, and that's where we put together a team of steppers, or usually step masters, to perform and represent step masters step by step. So there's a lot of step masters that are part of the step by step team now. We're just all branching into ways to still keep it going, involve more people, help with creating more jobs in step. And in about 5 years, there'll be so many that will be able to benefit from the efforts now that it's just ridiculous. So
well,
we're excited.
this is I'm excited too. I mean, we have to continue the conversation of everything at a convention has always constantly been, what are we doing so that the same opportunities the stepper dancers have, the steppers have? Why haven't we been able to do this full time? Why haven't we been able to, really have this conversation? Because, we get to the point where we tell our youth, go hard, practice, practice, practice. And they go hard and then they leave and they have to live their full-time job at 9 to 5. And then they miss everything that stepping does, which is the adrenaline, the artistry, the passion, the performing, because we're full show, we're full production. So companies like yourself and the impact that you and Vernon are having, it's very important. And here at World of Step, we're here to support you, support your efforts. And we hope that we are
Yes.
just one of many lifelines that that you have. And we want to continue the conversation for this younger generation. So if there's any point in your moment in life that you and Vernon feel that you're not respected, valued, or not heard, please know you are respected, you are valued, and you are heard here at the World of Step.
Wow. Thank you, Jessica. And I really appreciate that. It's a lot of times, we don't should give our flowers to those when they're here. Last summer, I went through third stage cancer, the whole chemotherapy and everything, and I'm still here today. And this was just last year.
Because
I
you still
just
have a
turned,
story to tell.
yeah. And so I'm encouraged, but most of all, I'm humbled, by the show of respect and love, and I really appreciate it. And I know you're sincere about it as well, you and Leo, and at World of Step. So we're very humbled. I'm excited for stepping. I'm excited what you're doing. I'm excited what everyone's doing in step. Um,
And this is only the beginning, because people are going to learn more about you. In the next couple of weeks, part of our culture campaign, we're going to be releasing footages and information about Step Master Jay and Vernon, about the history. So we want to continue the conversation. Also, the video we played in the beginning is currently going to be available starting tomorrow on World of Step On Demand. So everyone who goes to convention will hear your history, your message, and continue that conversation. So this is
nice.
only the beginning, my friends. And I always told you, forge forward. You have to tell your story, or else someone else is going to tell it for you. And no one can tell it better than you, Jimmy, right?
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So don't forget, you guys, check out Gumbo Step Stroll Theater Company, or the Gumbo Step Company, on Instagram. Also, if you guys didn't know, we're doing a timeline, and the timeline is going to tell you from 1989 all the way up until 1999 the story of Step by Step and their careers as choreographers in the 90s. Because if you didn't know, yeah, we did a whole lot of jobs in the 90s other than Step. We did films, Addams Family, House Party 2, Sister Act 2, Out of Sync with LL Cool J. We did a lot of stuff in the 90s that will be told in some upcoming things coming up that we're working on with the Gumbo Step Company and Joe Brown and
Well,
Stroh
you
Group.
know what I meant to say, one thing we almost forgot. When you decided in college to build the brand and do that, is Step by Step, was it you became a company? Was it an official company?
Yeah. In fact, we trademarked Step by Step before we got our first job. So we were smart. Because of college, we were able to really protect ourselves and run the company as a business, which is why we were successful getting other jobs as choreographers that a lot of professional trained dancers envied, and
Wow. So
they were humbled to
you're
work with
like
us.
one of the first step companies that
Exactly, exactly. In
wow.
1989, that was it. We were going to all the universities, putting on, 20-minute shows, 50-minute shows, commercials and jobs here and there, kept all the companies, kind of where they didn't have to work so hard on a full-time job. Oh, we were gigging. We were doing everything. We would every now and then we get called to do the Good Morning America, the talk shows in the mornings, Arsenio. We were the only artists to perform on Arsenio Hall show without a record deal.
Wow.
I know. I
He
know.
is he really tall in person?
Yeah, he actually seemed like he's about what, 6'1", 6'2". I'm about
He
5'9".
when I look
So
at he looked like on TV like a big old Slim Jim.
yeah, he does. Exactly
Yeah.
how to describe Arsenio, big old Slim Jim. What's up, Arsenio? Woof,
Yeah,
woof,
I
woof,
was
woof.
with his long fingers, like his long fingers and stuff like that. So before we end, I would like for you to, we've been giving you flowers because then, it's about the flowers, right? So we would like to hear what message would you like to tell the youth who are following you, listening to you around the world, any Greek organization, anyone who did not fully understand what Step by Step did and their purpose and impact in the actual world of stepping. And because our company is to tell stories. We have, I have my own company, Art of Stepping. I told my story. This is your story, but our world is about celebrating people like you and celebrating everyone that wants to be part of the world. This is their world. This is what World of Step is, right? So let us know as we end right now, what message would you like to say to them? From you, Jimmy, what would you like to say?
This is what I want to say. With respect to the art of step, it's not something that can be taught. It's natural. If you can naturally step, then of course it's something that I would consider. If I were you, I would consider being very passionate about it. This art form during apartheid, you can look up your history, during apartheid was banned because it intimidated those that were superior and ruling the country down there, where all the natural resources are in South Africa. So shout out to all the bros over there in Africa who, send me messages about, what I've done in the 90s for them too. Because once it's on film, it's forever. So when you record that step routine at that competition, just know, and it goes posted on Instagram and social media, it's forever. So before you do that, think about this. If you're doing it, then you know that it's something that comes natural. And it's something that was banned, as far as performing arts was banned from the 60s all the way up until 1999 over in Africa. You could not even do performing arts. So embrace step as a genre and help us in the world of step movement so that we can have the respect global wise where this art form can be recognized as a genre. Do your part. Youth step teams, please don't bully each other.
It makes
Don't
no
do that.
sense.
Don't do that. Have a brotherhood and a sisterhood. And know that this is an art form that was banned amongst all performing arts in Africa for 30 years. Know your history, okay? Stay passionate, keep stepping, and look out for a lot of things to come to help those that want a career in stepping.
Well, thank you so much, Jimmy. It was a pleasure having you and Vernon today and really telling your story. And we hope you were happy with the platform that we provided. And
Yes,
for our kids watching today, remember where you came from and remember the evolution and the continuance of stepping all lies in your hands. So as you continue to get educated, you have to continue telling your stories through what you learned. And Jimmy, thank you so much. I really
no
appreciate it.
problem.
And
No
we'll
problem.
be in
Thanks for
touch.
having me. Thanks for having me. And, shout out to my frat, C. Ryan Williams, Step Africa. Shout out to Keith Swanson here in Dallas. Shout out to my Sans, Vernon, Doc Genesis. Shout out to Leo. Leo is thebomb.com. Who did I forget? I forgot somebody. And
Your mother who gave birth to you.
My mama, I want to thank her too. Mama, thank you. I know you can hear me in there. Jessica, thank you so much for having me, man. It's
You're
really a
welcome.
blessing to be here. Really
You're
is.
welcome, and this is only the beginning. We have a lot of
Oh,
stuff.
I forgot about the homie Joe Brown, my frat. Hey, fight.
Oh, 06? Sorry, he's not here, so I just wanted to, throw it back at you. I didn't do the hand sign. I just said 06, all right? If I was
You
a
good?
man, I would have been an alpha. Just letting you know. Okay? Thank you so much, Jimmy. Have a good night.
All right, you too.
Guys, thank you so much for watching. The idea and the concept of doing stepping through time was to make sure that you understood the history of stepping and the pioneers and the change makers. Does it take away from the history you're creating? Absolutely not. But it allows you to have a stronger foundation of the roots of where stepping has impacted so many lives, and now it's in your hands. Each of you, this is your world. And the question now becomes, how do you preserve it? Joe Brown started the conversation about the messages that are happening to our brothers and sisters of color, the issues and the pandemic that is happening, and how do we protect them? It happens with STEP. It happens with education. It happens with us making those decisions that we make every single day. We moved on to Vernon, who talked about his passion of making a difference, to then Step Master Jay, talking about that it's not going to end and they're still committed. We thank you again for being part of the World of Step community, and we thank you for celebrating this weekend of the 2020 convention. Tomorrow, we go back on workshops with myself, Remo, and with Taylor, who's teaching tap because the World of Step continues on. And then we have Friday, Dance 411, talk about the industry, how you can make it in the industry. And then we close out with no other than Step Africa C. Brian Williams. That's right. He's adding in to close it out. And we end with WOSA, the first ever World of Step International Award Show. WOSA. They have ESPY, we have WOSA. It'll be live on YouTube, our official YouTube page, airing around the world where you'll see participants and recipients celebrating. You'll see a DJ. It's going to be big. Why? Because the World of Step is here. We're hearing you. We love you, and we thank you so much for being part of this world. Thank you so much. My name is Remo, and on behalf of the World of Step Alliance, the Players Club, the National Step Association, and of course, the Art of Stepping, have a good night.